Volcano. It's time to wrap up this game. Just kidding. There's a whole extra world after this. Oh, you didn't know that. You didn't know that, but...
Well, and there's all the temple levels.
And there's all the temple levels. Oh, we got some game left, Matthew. I forgot how long this one was, because Tropical Freeze, correct me if I'm wrong, Maddie there, only 6 worlds in Tropical Freeze,
yeah.
Am I right? Yeah, a little shorter on that one. Spent too much money and time on Donkey Kong's fur.
Oh, look, it's like it's probably the weakest transition, but it's a door from the factory. Oh, we didn't, what was the transition from the cliff to the factory?
I forgot.
Because it was a silhouette
it was probably
level.
Great, though. Maybe there wasn't one. Now that you mention it. I think there's something in there. Yeah. Just too lazy to go down myself.
Nice. Yeah, and this game just has like the Mario feel to me, where like now it's Fire World, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about generic. Like this game is like super creative, but it's just like
Some of those like
it's just
overarching decisions.
Well, it's just the appearance of things. The appearance is like what feels generic.
Yeah, I think really like it's some of the character designs. Like you look at Rambi, it's like Rambi's just kind of sad. You guys see Madagascar?
I always thought the original countries, their last worlds, felt really cool. You know, like Donkey Kong Country, it's just the chimp caverns. Nothing like, you know, typical about that. And then Country 2 was like the one with like the castle level and stuff. But it was just the top of Crocodile Isle.
Yeah.
Although that whole game feels like a last world. You know, the
Yeah.
second world is lava. And then Country 3, it was like the medieval castle looking like world.
No, I'm getting sloppy.
I wish we could get like a true remaster of the
Ooh, damn.
original 3 games.
Oh yeah, just like keep it retro. It's such an easy thing. Like Nintendo, you can have this.
No, I meant like remastering those games, not like remaking them.
No,
Or making a sequel in that art style.
Let me cook. I'm saying it's so easy, Nintendo. Just you don't have to change any gameplay. You don't have to move any object in the game. All you have to do is just create a game with the renders. They look like the renders on the box of Donkey Kong Country. And they're stiff. They're not animated super well. So they kind of keep that retro feel. Put some filters over it to make it look kind of vaporwave 90s-esque. Call it a day. That game, I guarantee you that game would sell 10 million copies at least. At the very least.
And they would be the same as the original games?
Yeah, just like exactly the same. But basically the remastered graphics is essentially you just making it look like the renders did. Honestly, they could do the same thing for Mario 64, and some folks have done something similar on the PC, emulating it. And you know, it looks really neat.
I would love, though, if they remade them where you could play all the characters.
That would be cool too. Yeah, I mean, just some quality of life feature like that to sweeten the pot. You're done. That's all you do. Make DK actually playable in them.
Yeah, and co-op at the same time.
It's funny which things Nintendo's like, you know, upset about and which ones they're not. Like, you know, for the sake of like this game, they're like, we really need this blowing mechanic. For the other one, they're like, yeah, I mean, I don't think Donkey Kong is really essential to Donkey Kong Country.
Oops.
You know, is Donkey Kong really necessary?
Well, I think I told you before, but I think Nintendo used to be a lot more open-minded about certain things. Like, I mean, you look at, like, what's happened with Paper Mario over the years and how much cooler that used to be, and now it's, like, you know, about as full of life as Plank from Ed and Eddie.
You know, it's funny, though, with DK, when Vicarious Visions was doing the Skylanders thing, they, at first they were pretty, like, you know, modest in, like, what they were gonna do. And Nintendo was like, no, man, just, like, go crazy with it. We want to see what you think. Which is...
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna tell you can't...
No, but I don't know why it fell so much quicker than it looked like it did before.
This level's a lot of waiting. I wonder how this one plays out in time trials.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this world and the world before it, some of these levels are like some of the worst in the game, I feel like. There's just too many, like, you know, like the platforms are moving, you're stopping and going constantly. It's kind of interesting.
These enemies.
Whereas like Tropical Freeze, I feel like it gets, oh man. I feel like it gets better as you go.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of little cheap shots like that. Just like weirdly, like a lot of waiting, which is not super fun.
Oh, that was so close. I wonder what the deal was with the fire enemies before you could blow.
We'll never know. Miyamoto was cooking.
Come on. Yeah, I think what's getting me in this version of this game, and I don't know if this is like this version of this game thing or I'm just not remembering, but it feels like turning around is like weird.
It probably feels a little bit different if you're used to sideways Wii remote, because it is different, like the analog control versus the D-pad. I always like preferred the D-pad, given it was like a 2D platformer, but I do think this game is starting to feel more natural for me on the analog controls, which is interesting. I've been ironclad in my devotion to D-pad only. Hey, Shovel Knight's coming out soon. That's gonna be fun. They're remastering it, and they'll basically let you play like any character in the game. I wonder if that'll extend to co-op.
I wonder.
That would be a game that would be cool in 3D.
Here. Be an interesting thing to think about is in this game, or these Retro Studios games, it's like, would I rather if Rare never got bought out by Microsoft and just keep making Donkey Kong games, and Retro Studios, we never get Returns or Tropical Freeze, or would I rather have these games? And like, honestly, I think I would, as much as I love this and Tropical Freeze, I think I would rather go with just Rare never getting bought out. Hold on, wait.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, you were supposed to...
It's also kind of hard to, like, suss that out, because I mean, I guess if they just kind of kept going as usual, which would have been the other option, is just Rare doesn't get bought out by anybody. I think that's the golden situation. They keep their independence. Because once you have, like, a corporate overlord, it's kind of difficult to, like...
But my thing is like, do I prefer these games to what Rare did? I really don't. Like these games are, like, really fun. Hold on, what are you doing?
You did the last one?
Oh, you're talking about that little... I mean, all right, yeah.
I mean, if you want this, I'm not a big Rocket
No,
Barrel
I mean,
guy.
I just, whatchamacallit, I wasn't thinking about that one.
The more fun one?
I don't know if that one was more fun. I mean, it was pretty simple. Like, it didn't really feel like I did anything.
Yeah, I mean, I might stink at this, so you might take over.
But, what was I trying to say? But yeah, I don't know. It's like, you know, these games are more fun than like, oh gosh, it's so hard to see those from behind.
Hey,
These
what did I
games
get hit by?
are probably more fun than like, you know, Dkcrhd, for example. But it's like, honestly, I think I have more fondness for Dkcrhd than these games because, you know, I like the universe better. I like the characters better. You know, like it's
Dkcrhd. That's yeah. I don't know. That's where I depart from you, my good sir.
But that's why I don't
They
know if
still
you
have the
heard what I was
Kremlings.
saying is that like it's not about the game being fun. It's more I just like the universe and the characters and everything better. Watch out behind you.
Yeah, well, I'm saying for like, yeah, that's like impossible to see, dude. Ugh. Tell me if they start to show up. I have to like look behind DK. Yeah, so the world of Dk64 doesn't feel consistent with the country games. Like, I mean, it feels like related to them, but doesn't feel consistent.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it just looks like it's in 3D now.
Like Snide being there and like, I don't know.
I mean, they're just introducing more stuff. I mean, like, you know, I don't know. Is that any different than any Mario game? And now there's like, you know, the skeleton sombrero guy, you know?
All right, this is all you. No pride for these rocket barrel levels. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know quite how to like explain it.
Snide also he tells you he worked for King K. Rool, and then I forgot what happened, but that's why he has the blueprints to the Blastomatic. So he's not even like oh, this character lives on Donkey Kong Island or something, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I really don't. I mean, it's some of the bosses too, like the Jack in the Box guy, the Dragonfly. You know, they just don't feel like enemies that, like, if this was made on the Super Nintendo, that they would have been there.
But have you ever seen the renders for those characters, and then you're like, oh, this is totally just a N64 thing?
What do you mean?
Oh, what was I supposed to? Was I supposed to go low there? Like, have you seen the renders of those characters, like, outside the game?
No, I mean, I don't really think it's just like the way that, like, the Dragonfly especially looks like something out of Spyro.
Yeah, well, that's why, like I said, I mean, I think.
I mean, and I would also like
more
kind of argue that Country 3 is
okay,
somewhat.
so you're supposed to go high there? What am I doing wrong there?
I guess you go high. I would also argue that DKC3 is like a little incoherent as well. It's really like the first two games that nail the world building. Country 3, I think, kind of gets away with it a little bit because, like, the whole idea is that it is that it's kind of like you're in a foreign land.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Low. Nice. All right, where's Chops? Are we done? Or where's Chops?
Yeah.
Done. Nice.
Seeing if there's something. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, I mean, I get some of that stuff, but at the same time, I don't know. I think the foundation is there, which is like, you know, the Kremlings and like kind of like, you know, what they did with some of the levels and all that stuff. Where like, I really feel like if we had ever seen Donkey Kong on like GameCube, for example, it would have looked a lot better.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I just don't. I think it was too early for a 3D Donkey Kong, because like, you take Mario into 3D, and like, really all you need to worry about are bright colors, shapes, and the jump physics. The rest you can kind of figure out. Like, you know, the thing with DK is that so much of the franchise that they had built up on the Super Nintendo was about like immersion in the environment, and that just wasn't a thing. Oh no! that just wasn't a thing on the 64. It looked very like bland and plain, which like they were pushing the poor 64 to its limits, and so like what were they supposed to do? I'm aware of that, but like it's still like doesn't kind of change the result. I tanked that for you.
Yeah, but see, that's where, like, it's... I don't know. I don't really... Are we supposed to... Oh, no. Oh, oh, you were supposed to walk to the... There's a barrel down there.
Oh, dude, let me do this
bonus ring.
minecart. We could both do it.
I was about to say, I know minecart, it was my turn, but it's not going to matter. So we can get the thing at the beginning anyway. These are the ones I will lose on purpose for if it means we get to play together. Oh.
Oh, okay. I see. But yeah, I think it was too soon. I think the first system that could have run a proper 3D Donkey Kong game was the Wii U. And that's kind of the shame of it. And so like from another perspective, we probably didn't miss out on that much. You know, with all the at least from the perspective of a 3D Donkey Kong game. Cuz yeah, they like I don't think they would have been able to do the concept justice.
Oh,
dude, do I not hit the joystick at all? Like I'm confused.
No, oh, you want to hold right?
That's what I was doing, and I overshot it by quite a bit.
Oh no!
Oops.
But yeah, I don't know. That's what's always weird to me about DK stuff is I'm like, you know, like it's always weird. We look at like Mario 64 with such like affinity, and DK 64, it's just like the stuff it didn't do, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really.
Well, I mean, you're typecasting me as someone who looks at Mario 64 with affinity.
Oh no, not. I'm just saying that's kind of like the normal, like, rhetoric around those games. What? How did you?
Yeah. I mean, well, and I would agree. It's just a thing of like when it happened and where people were at the time. You know, like there's really nothing else that kind of makes Mario 64 like all that like more impressive. I mean, it has the same problems that every other 64 game does. You know, because like level design was hard under like that level of resources. There just wasn't a lot to go around, and you know, Mario chose functionality while DK chose polish. There's not really like a right answer in that, especially when, you know, there's more things to consider in your system selling than, you know, just the game being fun. Like, unfortunately, that doesn't sell systems. So Rare was really like the powerhouse when it came to, you know, technical display of prowess. But I think, honestly, like most N64 games aged poorly. It's just like Donkey Kong's the one people love to beat up on because collectibles. It's just like, brother, have you tried to do the 100 coin missions in Mario 64? Like, there's some levels where I swear there are like 103.
Yeah.
And then people are annoyed that you have to play DK94 or you know, not 94.
Oh, whoops! You're supposed to jump over. Well,
dude, this one's brutal.
Yeah, make sure
don't worry
pop
about
the
me.
barrel that you just hold right. Yeah, I forgot. That's how you do the speed run of this level.
What?
The
I'm programmed to just do something.
the not grabbing the vines, just roll jumping. What?
You. I tried to duck. This is the one time I'm happy to see Professor Chops.
You want me to lose? Oh, well. I thought you ducked under him.
That's what's throwing me off. I keep ducking.
My boy. Hurry.
It's okay. Like,
No.
I will catch up
We
at
got
some
it.
point.
No. Come on. Come on. Come on. No.
It seems like in this one, I'll have to go back on the Wii one.
That was.
Honestly, with all the upscaling stuff I've got,
Michael, stop jumping early.
with all the upscaling stuff I've got, man, we might just be busting it back to the Wii version. It'll be nice to play the 3DS levels again, and then we might be done with this version of the game.
Oh no. Yeah, I was like, I knew that. Oh, I barely made both of those jumps. Oh my goodness.
I wonder, it's like your body comes in contact with it. It's not necessarily that you land on top of it. I wonder if that makes it, a little harder for Diddy Kong, Like, maybe it's just like, it's way harder for Diddy Kong, and that's why I lose.
Be the one time Donkey Kong having a big.
But no, this is my big argument with
Frame.
Trevor, is the GameCube is better than the 64 because, like, it smoothed out the rough edges of the 64, similar to the polygonal graphics. I feel like the only N64 game that aged super well was Star Fox 64. The rest of them are like pretty rough around the edges. Pokemon Stadium as well. That's an excellent game. But it's like they had the reason those games are so good and stuff like Mario 64 and people are gonna hate me for this. Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, even Banjo-Kazooie, DK64. What made those games kind of rough around the edges is that like they were just kind of punching above their weight. They just weren't quite ready to like tackle that level of.
Who did the last Rambi?
Probably you.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, you don't throw it at that. What was the last Rambi level?
I don't know. I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine.
No, I'm just trying. I'm trying to think though.
If you could catch me.
So you did the one in the ruins, then I did the one after, so it's probably you. Oh my gosh,
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I remember a YouTuber that we both like pointed out all this stuff in Tropical Freeze, just
Oh, nice.
all the little like subtle, like if you're sliding down a hill and you hold your joystick against it versus not, and it's like stuff that, like that's what like, I swear, man, what I'll always love about DK being my favorite series is I can always say like the attention to detail, you just don't see it in most other stuff. And Retro definitely like maintained that. Oh no. Oh no. Hold on, there's a puzzle piece.
It's so funny. As soon as you hop on Rambi, it like it freezes for me. Like I lose control of Rambi
Oh.
when you touch him.
Jump on top of that or this right here. See? I wonder if
No, let me get on top of you, and then jump. Oh yeah, that's not. That's not gonna work.
right.
Let me get it.
Or
Yeah, go for it. You do the jump on the guy.
I am. How am I not? Phew. Would have had to do that all over.
Yeah, like I don't really want to think about what I'm doing. I want to smash everything. That's what's fun about these levels. And I feel like every platform is crumbling under me, so I'm usually just like continuing to move.
I was gonna say, oh, yeah. There's some of these like I know I can jump on before you, but I guess it didn't.
Hold on, off of Rambi.
Well, I was gonna just. You could have just jumped off of Rambi. But no, you know, with that GameCube 64 thing though, what's funny about that is that you're right, but at the same time, it's like I would much rather play all the good N64 games over like the good GameCube games, because like I don't know, man. I mean, that's when my boy Donkey Kong.
I mean, yeah, you might have a preference.
The
And
way
that's
of the
totally
dinosaur.
fine.
Mario Sunshine is, you know, Wind Waker. Like that's why it's just like that's what makes the GameCube funny. Oh my gosh, I just got crushed.
I mean, well, and like some of the games are like better designed, but it's like the functional moment to moment gameplay is so much better in something like Wind Waker, as opposed to Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. As much as I love Majora's Mask, you know, I wouldn't delude myself into being like, yeah, that's a smooth experience that runs at a reasonable frame rate.
Gotta watch out for the G. Yeah, the GameCube's a funny system to me because, like, I love it and have so much nostalgia for it, but it's like, what do I truly love on the GameCube? Like, I love Melee. It's my favorite Smash game. You know, Star Fox Adventures is super slept on. That's a really fun game. I mean, I'd even say Assault is, like, okay. F-Zero GX. Like, it's all the, like, non-frequent Nintendo games that I think are really good on the GameCube. But that's why it's like it's their mainline, like, oh, this is what we normally do well to me, that are like pretty weak.
Yeah, Mario and Zelda were a problem there, but it's like I don't know, dude.
Even like
playing Mario 64 and Sunshine back to back, both of them are so rough around the edges in my opinion. And I'd probably rather play Sunshine just because it feels more smooth.
But it's like I think about even like other series, like they didn't have a Yoshi game on GameCube to my knowledge. They didn't have Kirby besides like Air Ride, you know, whereas like you had Yoshi's Story on N64, you had Kirby and the Crystal Shards. I mean, you had Metroid Prime, which I do love Prime. You know, I played through all those games, but you have Prime 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not necessarily saying that, like, you know, Wind Waker is better than Ocarina of Time, because like it probably isn't, but I just feel like technologically that's when you were like able to make those experiences. Like you would have almost preferred they sat on DK64 or those other games until the GameCube generation, just because like that's when you could actually execute on that technological vision. Which is why, like, dude, if I were Nintendo, easiest bag you could make. People are so nostalgic for that generation, but a lot of people don't own it. And like, yeah, you can do the Nintendo Switch whatever now to get your like online streaming. Like that was pretty nice. I was playing that.
Whoa!
I was playing that with the kids today, jumping into like, you know, some of the fun stuff like the mini games from Crystal Shard, Pokemon Stadium mini games. You know, like that's cool, and you can, you know, have that as your little time capsule thing. But like, remake those games. Those are some of the most ripe for a good remake. Although, you know, the thing I imagine from Nintendo's perspective is they don't want to remake something.
Right. Well, they would actually have to like update the graphics.
Well, yes. So you would have to, like, a remaster wouldn't be enough. You would have to like kind of like get your hands dirty in the game. And that's where, like, I don't think Nintendo has that interest, because if they're going to go through all that trouble, they might as well just make a new game. So they're kind of trapped there. Although, rumor is that Ocarina of Time is getting that treatment, which I think is very possible.
See, that's what I'm saying, though. I just feel like they'll remake,
I think that's
like, a bunch
awesome.
Yeah, but I just feel like, like I said, I tell you this all the time, but I'm just tired of like all the Mario and Zelda content. I just feel like give me time to miss those, you know? I just feel like I'm not interested in a new, oh my gosh, no.
I mean, I would say
I'm not
that
interested in a new Zelda experience because I feel like I have one every couple of years, you know? Like, that's
well,
why,
I mean, if you're talking about like a
Odyssey to me
main
felt
3D Zelda experience, you're talking twice a decade if you're lucky.
Yeah, but
not point.
Recently, though, is what I'm saying. Like, we've had two in the last, 10 years? Or two in the last, when did Switch come out? 2017?
Yeah,
So
2017, and then I
8
think
years.
20...
I mean, like, you know, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, that's just the way I am with games, though. I mean, but as a Donkey Kong fan, you're kind of conditioned to, you know, think that way. Because, like, you know, we've only ever had one 3D DK.
Well, it's, I mean, the extra Zelda game isn't robbing you of a Donkey Kong game, though. Like, I don't know if you'd want the Zelda team to make a Donkey Kong game. That game might turn out a little weird, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
It's not my thing, though. It's that, like, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, these decisions cost money. Nintendo has to foot the bill, and so it kind of does, like, in a way affect that, because that's money they could be spending on, like, doing something new, but instead they're giving it to the Zelda team to remake a game. What just happened?
I launched a second early. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't. They probably don't budget it that way. And like, sure, you could spend the money on something else, but like, you kind of need those like safe return on investments to make sure that you do have the space to be able to.
Yeah, but I feel like they always do the safe return on investment. You know, it's like my whole thing is like, you know, this is where, like, I get mad at companies with, like you were talking about Activision had to be, like, basically convinced to do another Crash Bandicoot
there's a barrel
game.
back here.
But, like, oh, for some reason I saw that and didn't think anything of it. That's why I can't talk and play video games. But, yeah, I mean, it's, like, it's those things to me. It's, like to me, like, you know, it's kind of annoying because, like, I feel like sometimes there's value in having those other things. Like, we always say all the time, like, F-Zero would never sell what Mario Kart sells, but that doesn't mean you just shouldn't ever make anything.
Well, yeah, and I'm not saying that.
Like, I think, like, at the end of the day, you might be attracting people to buy your console that don't normally buy Nintendo systems if you have a bigger variety of offerings on it, you know?
Yeah, but I'm saying like on I mean, especially for like a new Nintendo system, you have to have a Mario, you have to have a Zelda, you have to have Animal Crossing, Splatoon, you have to have a Donkey Kong, in my opinion. But you know,
but what's funny about that mentality to me is that if they took more chances with other things, you might be saying that about other franchises at this point.
Well, you have to do both, yeah.
But no. What I'm saying is that, like, we always talk about Star Fox all the time. It's like, dude, if Star Fox, if they made a cool Star Fox game, we might be saying with every new Nintendo console, like, you got to have your Star Fox game, you know? But we don't know that because they don't take those chances enough. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they recently did. I mean,
no, dude, Star Fox Zero does not count. Like, it truly doesn't. It was at the end of the Wii U when, like, we already knew the Switch was coming out, basically. And then, why does that look that way?
Rambi might be in this level. I mean, I don't know. I think with
and also, like, it was a game that was meant to be, like, something else. And just like Star Fox Adventures, they're like, let's just put a familiar face on it. You know? It was like a demo that they just... Oh, man, really? that they decided
Well, that
to
was
like turn
was
into
the
a
other
game,
thing.
and also like it just was like so like the graphics on it were like really bad. The performance of it was really bad. I mean, like it just lacked quality, you know. And like that's my problem is Nintendo probably looks at that and they're like, see, people don't want Star Fox, and it's like, no, dude. If you treated it with the same care you did like a Mario or a Zelda, and
Was it a letter down there?
yeah. I think you can go this way though. No. But I don't know. I mean, that's just always like something I'll just continue to get stuck on is like I just, you know, there's a reason why Nintendo, like they used to make other things and they were successful enough to warrant making more of those things. Oh man. But you know, you never find out if you don't take that chance. And that's why, like I say, in business all the time, you know, things are about taking risks. But I feel like now they're just kind of like, what do we know that we make that sells well? And it's like, I mean, that's great, but like, you know, you might have something else that's why Splatoon to me is so funny because like they probably almost did or were a lot closer to making that a Mario game than we'll ever know. And it probably was the best decision ever that they didn't make it a Mario game. Like, who knows? Maybe if it was a Mario game, it would have sold more, but it wouldn't have the same impact where now it's like, now we've got another IP that's really profitable for us, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, you wouldn't want like a Nintendo system where you forego Mario for Splatoon, you know, on that first attempt. So all I'm saying is like you need. Yeah, I mean, you get this vendetta against Mario, but like it's
No, I mean, I just think it's okay to you know, listen, man. I used to eat pizza every day, but you know, then you get to a certain point where it's like I don't just want pizza. I like pizza. Pizza's really good.
I mean,
but
well,
I like eating more than one kind of food.
If I were to steelman your position, I would say like, yeah, I mean, PlayStation makes systems and they, you know, totally abandon all the characters from one system to the other, but yeah, I mean, I think like from a business perspective, you need to be like absolutely sure that you got a few slam dunks to make sure that you sell. Now, like, you know, I mean, also like, I don't know. I think Ocarina of Time is the most like ripe game for a remake, like maybe ever, because that game is like so much worse for just being on the 64.
I mean,
I would say the same for Donkey Kong 64, but I mean, you know, like at the end of the day, you still got kind of like so many of those bad design decisions that you would have to like, you know, you'd have to essentially make a different game. You know, like, are they gonna make those like crocodile herding games fun?
the funny
Probably
thing
not.
though is that like, you know, this is my crazy opinion, but like, I think DK64, if they were to remake that, would be more hype than like Ocarina of Time.
I mean, to a certain group of people, I'm sure.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
saying like more people like on the internet would be more hyped about that than like.
I don't know. Ocarina of Time has this like somewhat undeserved like legendary status based on like how nostalgic people are for it.
Yeah, but it's more like DK64. I mean, that's why I you know, and I always talk about here in the
They
US.
would be similar,
but
I don't know if I would confidently say DK would be like a bigger deal. You know, if I had to bet on one, I would bet on Zelda in that case.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I
And
think
like as much as
DK64
I
is
love
also-
Majora's Mask, and I know that like the cult internet following that game has, of which I am a part of, like I wouldn't kid myself to like say that that's like gonna be a bigger deal than Ocarina of Time, because like it just wouldn't be.
Yeah, but I just like I don't know, man. People to me forget how like and like you see it all the time, man. Like people want DK64 like so bad like for a remake, and I think like DK's I didn't realize that was there. I really think like, and that's why I said maybe it's in the US or it's like a US thing, but like I seriously don't know anybody that hasn't played DK64 that had a Nintendo 64 that doesn't have some like level of affinity for it. Like I don't know, man, and that's where like I think Donkey Kong is still even more mainstream than Zelda, probably because of its Mario relation, but
Well, I mean, that Ocarina of Time was like really like the moment that Zelda became solidified, because like was the first Zelda game just kind of a fluke, Sequel doesn't do as good on the NES. Super Nintendo becomes more of like a mid-tier franchise. 64 becomes like, oh, this is like a powerhouse. And it's really like kind of been a big franchise since. And then, I mean, really like after that, it's the Breath of the Wild bump was crazy.
But I just think, like, for me, like, it's also the fact that we haven't had another 3D Donkey Kong game, I think would be a big deal to people, especially if we saw, like, some of those old characters, like King K. Rool and stuff like that. But I also think, like, Donkey Kong 64, like, people don't realize this, but it's developed, like, such a cult following. Like, there's so many people that have admiration for that game that...
Well, it has a lot of cultural relevance, but...
I mean, it's just even the meme potential alone. Like, I mean, there's people that have made entire Twitter, like, content creation profiles out of, like, literally just memeing on Donkey Kong 64. You know, like that Ditzy Flame guy or whatever, and he makes all those videos of the DK rap, and he'll remix it with, like, you know, Michael Jackson songs or Christmas songs or this or that. But I don't know, man. I really think dude, like I said, it's more just for, like I said, the cult following that is almost, like, developed with DK64 that I feel like it just would be, like, a huge deal.
Well, it's, yeah, I mean, like I said, similar. I don't know if I could say better, but I mean, also, like, the thing with that is, like, okay, if you're gonna make a Zelda remake, you've got two teams that are, like, at the ready for that. Because Grezzo is just, like, you know, become a Zelda team. You know, they made the 3DS 64 remasters. They're not remakes. Call them what you want. They don't look any. They're not that significant an improvement. But yeah, like, well, and that'd be the funniest, like, almost like Nintendo thing. Like, if they remake Ocarina of Time and their version of that is just basically like what the 3DS did, but it looks a little bit better because it's on the Switch, I'm gonna laugh till I bleed.
But see, that's what's funny is when you say, like, a Zelda game doesn't come at the expense of something else. It's like when you say this other team basically became a Zelda team, it's like, well, yeah, but how did that happen in the first place? Because they were like, hey, make a Zelda game instead of, like, doing something different.
That's not how Nintendo does it. Like, the company will pitch them on something, and then they will say yes or no, you know, it usually goes from there. Like, Mercury Steam, like, pitched a Metroid game. They had made a Castlevania game, so they were a great fit. They didn't want to, like, Nintendo wasn't like, oh, dude, you really need to make Metroid. Like, we're itching for Metroid, you know?
Yeah,
now they might do that with, like, some people, but, like, usually it's the other way around because, like, games are so expensive. You don't want people making things, like, just for the sake of, like, you know, they have to. Now, there is an effect where, like, they get kind of locked into what they have to do eventually because you just kind of become the Zelda people, you become the Splatoon people. I mean, even, like, the Pikmin people, like, there's just, like, a preordained team, which, like, is most of what has to do with, like, what franchises get abandoned, you know? Like, why did F-Zero stop going? Like, I mean, you know, under the right deal with Sega, like, I would imagine that, you know, like, they would have kept going. But, you know, the mid 2000s were a very weird time for Sega. I mean, they got bought out by a gambling company, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06. Like, you know, this was not really the time to be cutting a bunch of deals with Sega. It's kind of a miracle they got the Olympic thing going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my whole thing is like, even if somebody pitched them on an idea, like, it's surprising that they would never even would just be like, hey, you know, that's a cool idea, why don't you do this with it instead, you know, since we already have a bunch of these. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Also,
although I would say that the history of
that,
Miyamoto
like,
saying, like, maybe this should be a Star Fox game is, like, tough.
Yeah, but it's also, like, I don't know, dude. I've heard enough companies, like, I know the company that made Need for Speed pitched Nintendo on an F-Zero game, apparently. And it's like, I don't know, dude. I'm sure, huh?
I think it was the Fast RMX people. I don't think it was EA.
I'm
EA
pretty
would-
sure, like, if I remember Need for Speed, like, at least people worked
Yeah,
on Need
but
for Speed.
that's probably true.
But I'm just saying, though, that I know that's been pitched, and, you know, like, I don't know. It's just interesting to me, like, even if that's how they work, it seems like they greenlight a lot of the, like, rando, whatever other game
Well, they're
ideas,
more
but
likely
not,
to greenlight something with a Japanese studio. They're more likely to greenlight something that has
well,
like
I'm
a
saying
steward at
they seem to
Nintendo.
greenlight, like, ideas that involve, like, Zelda or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think from their perspective, like the 3DS needed a Zelda game. You know, go ahead. The lava's gonna raise up.
Oh,
Huh? Why did I? Did everyone have one heart?
yeah.
Okay. He. Oh,
I missed that? I thought I timed that up well.
I don't know. Maybe I'm more cynical about it. Like I would agree with your analysis of what I would do if I were them, but because I mean, I think they're leaving a lot of money on the table by not just like, you know, you don't need to like make it so that like there's a Metroid game every year, but you want to just kind of keep a pulse on the franchise. And I would say that's true of like everything. Now, Nintendo might argue that F-Zero 99 is like their F-Zero game this generation, and you know, like it wouldn't be my first choice, but it is an F-Zero game that did well, and you know, and a lot of times they'll kind of test the waters with something like that before they do something ambitious. You know, like, do people still care about F-Zero? And I think, you know, I don't want to misspeak, but I'm pretty sure they had like some decent numbers of engagement from F-Zero 99. So I would say signs are like pretty good for the F-Zero franchise. But it's like from here now they need someone who's gonna like spend the time to make it. What would be the funniest, like coolest team to make it would be what's it called? The guys who made Donkey Kong Country Returns on the 3DS, because they make racing sims. That's really like their first love, but they got bought out by some like race sim company.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just think Nintendo. It's a funny game they're playing, because I think, you know, if Mario or Zelda ever just become like stale, or like if people just decide they're not super into those things, I mean, like, and that's what I mean about like, I don't understand their like approach with things, because I just feel like if you're gonna be one of those companies, like, I mean, that's why you see PlayStation, like pretty much everything they do is just brand new all the time now. Like they're not really interested in like continuing to make games in like the same universe over and over again. But I just think, you know, that's kind of the thing for them, though, is that they've proven that kind of like whatever they make is gonna end up being like popular. But I feel like Nintendo, that's the problem they have, is that if Mario or Zelda ever get old to people, you know, they're just gonna have like nothing else.
The other thing I would say about that though is like they're different customer bases. Like hate to say this about you guys, but like Nintendo fans, if it doesn't have one of your favorite characters on it, you're not buying it. And that's where like the Miyamoto, like, oh, maybe this should be a Star Fox, maybe this should be a Mario. Like there is some truth to that, where like yeah, like there is some truth to that, where people are just like kind of cynical about that, where like, you know, you could have some of the most like interesting games, but they don't have, you know, your character on it, and so you're not interested. It does happen, but yeah, I mean, that is what's neat about PlayStation. It's also what's kind of frustrating, because they themselves, you know, you're complaining about like, oh man, I want to do like Donkey Kong, a new F-Zero. It's like, under the PlayStation banner, it's like, yeah, you would have gotten one 20 years ago and we would have done.
But I mean, they kind of have set that expectation, so I feel like it's different. It's like Nintendo, like, you know, they want to make a successful franchise and then keep making games in it. And I think that's what makes it, like, you know, at some point people end up wanting, like, okay, if you're making all these Mario games, you're making all these Zelda games, like, why not try doing something like one of these, you know? And like I said, dude, I tell you all the time, like, I just think they have so much potential in some of their franchises.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I think
would
Star
agree.
Fox is, like, I say it all the time, but Star Fox could be a first or a third person online shooter game, and it could be one of the craziest things. I mean, because they've already established, like, the R-Wing stuff, the tank stuff, you know, all their vehicles. But then, you know, Star Fox Assault played with the whole on-foot thing.
Well, you know,
and I'm like, it literally could be Nintendo's version of Halo. And, like, I mean, it's just, to me, like, that's an idea.
Well,
That's what people like now,
I don't
you know?
I don't think it would be Nintendo's Halo, or like, you know, maybe Metroid could, but like multiplayer is like allergic to that franchise. They will be more interested in this now that they have an online subscription. Like, they have to make big hit online games. That's like what you see with Mario Jamboree. That's what you're seeing with the Mario Kart that they're coming out with.
But that's what, they don't really have
So
that
I
game
think
that,
we'll
like,
see
I
a
feel
Star
like
Fox and an F-Zero next generation that'll have significant online features.
But that's what, I feel like Splatoon is kind of what occupies that
It does,
genre
yeah.
for them, but I don't think Splatoon's a good, like, I don't know, most people I know who like those types of games, Splatoon's just like, you know, for a lot of them, it's just whatever. I know for me, like, I like Splatoon, but I would much rather have something that's more of like a Halo than like what Splatoon is, you know? Or it's like,
I mean, it's
a
very
shooter game,
like
but it's
weird and
not
quirky
really.
and Japanese, which you would think would make it like more niche. But yeah, I don't get it. Splatoon is way more popular than I would have ever guessed. But Star Fox does have that kind of mass. Yeah, it's like, man, you're preaching to the choir.
And dude, that's why, like, stuff like the YouTube cartoon that was made of Star Fox, you know, all these different, it shows you, like, people have such an affinity for that universe and those characters. That's another reason why, like, dude, if they did something with Star Fox, I think that's another thing that would be a way bigger deal than people give it credit for. You know, just because they think of, like, what did this sell before? And it's like, you know, I think sometimes, like, people don't realize, like, stuff being gone for a long time and then them, like, doing something with it. Oh my gosh. I think would be, like, really hype for people. This guy's just Donkey Kong Andross.
Yeah. The thing I don't like about the rolling in this game is you have to be like committed fully to a direction before you can roll. Whoop.
Oh my gosh.
Like, the bosses demand very twitchy controls, but this game doesn't have twitchy controls. So it's kind of funny. Like, in the country engine, the original, these bosses would be like really fun because they are challenging.
Okay, I thought you jump when it lights
Yeah.
up, but I did.
I think you have to roll jump, maybe. Shockwave. Knack looking. Hey, he looks like Knack. Oh,
No.
the lingering fire got me. All right. Not messing around anymore. All right, get over yourself. Oh, it's.
Wow.
Oh, we just getting a bonus heart.
gosh.
Dude, where's my heart? There it is. You'll never defeat Andros! They didn't do the... Okay, alright. I love this part, though.
Giant punches cannon. It's funnier when you see you, like I said, the cutscenes change if it's them two together, DK by himself and Diddy by himself. I forgot what Diddy Kong does to, I think he gets his jetpack going and then slams his head into it.
It's making me crave a banana right now. And I've got no bananas. I forgot to buy them at the grocery store.
It sounds like the theme in Jungle Beat.
It does, yeah. Oh! Oh, this is a good remix.
Well, it is at the beginning, and then it, like, goes into a totally different track.
Dude. We gotta mention it. What is this, based on the original development? Put their name in the credits, dude. These people spent, like, years working on this game. The crunch. The stories people will tell you about, like, how hard some of these games were to make.
Why don't they do that, though? I don't understand.
I don't know. That's what's got me scratching my brain about the Grant Kirkhope thing in the Mario movie. Is like, is it Nintendo that doesn't want to credit him, or is it Illumination? Like, is it Hollywood being like, "Oh, you don't make real music. We make artistic music like Minions 3." Or is it Nintendo just like, "Hey, man, you know, we own you." Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Temple has been revealed.
But, you know, shout out to our boys in Poland. Forever Entertainment making this game. I know some Polish folks. Gotta ask them to take me over there. I need to have a word. Need to have a word with the team about the co-op in this game. I swear, it'd be so easy to fix. If just give me a day. Give me a day in the office. I'm just like, there's gotta be some kind of, like, you know, just like some kind of code that decides how long someone is tangible for, and just increase that by 25 frames. That's it. That's it. Would it break the game? No. The whole game works. I'm just like
I'm not even going to do anything. I was just hovering here.
Crossing my fingers. Anyway, next time we will tackle the temple levels. It's interesting that we unlocked the golden temple level before the other oh, we can go there, but yeah.
Well, you'll see what
Silly
happens.
Michael.
You'll see what happens when we go there next time.
Spoiling this 10-year-old game. Is it 10 or 15 years? 15 years. I'm old. Good night.